What's going on, everybody out there? It's Popular Stranger, and we are back at you again today with another MLB 16 The Show Diamond Dynasty online gameplay. We're also here for our weekly episode of This Week in Baseball. If you're new to the channel, new to the series, we talk about what's going on in Major League Baseball each and every Thursday. A lot of topics to go over this week, guys, so if I forget something, please forgive me, but I think I got them all covered. Now, for the third week in a row, we have to talk about a player being suspended for PEDs. This time, it's Raul Mondesi from the Kansas City Royals. Another unfortunate thing to have to talk about. Hopefully, the streak will be broken and we don't have to go over this type of news next Thursday. Now, Saturday night, 42-year-old Bartolo Colon hit a home run. Boy, was it fun to watch the fat boy trot around those bases. Now, that wouldn't stop there because last night, Mets pitchers are just raking right now. Noah Syndergaard hits 2 home runs in one game. He also went 8 innings pitched with 6 strikeouts and a win over the Dodgers. The Mets definitely won the trade with R.A. Dickey. If you forgot or if you weren't aware, the Mets got Noah Syndergaard from the Toronto Blue Jays for R.A. Dickey, and a bunch of other players were included in that trade. But man, could you imagine a pitching rotation in Toronto with that offense that they have, including Marcus Stroman and Noah Syndergaard? That would be a really nasty 1-2 combination. I think it's safe to say that the Mets won that trade. Now, also Saturday night, there were some home runs being hit in Cincinnati, but they were in the Brewers uniforms, and that came from Aaron Hill. He hit 3 home runs. Now, that's happened before. I'm not going to downplay what he did, but one of those home runs was a grand slam, and that makes it even more impressive. It was an extra innings game. The Milwaukee Brewers ended up winning that game 10-6. The grand slam was huge, ended up giving them that lead. I believe it was tied at 6 apiece, either in the 9th or 10th inning. I'm pretty sure it was the 10th inning. So Aaron Hill hits 3 home runs in one game. Lorenzo Cain also did that this week. His team lost, unfortunately, to the Yankees, who have been playing better baseball as of late. But Lorenzo Cain also has a 3 home run game. I'm wondering if that's the shortest span in baseball where 2 players have done that in between time, because it was only like 4 or 5 days in between the time that these 2 guys did it, Aaron Hill and Lorenzo Cain. We're going to talk about the Cubs and the Nationals. They had a big series over the weekend, a 4-game series. Many think that these are the best 2 teams in the NL. I would probably agree as of right now. The Cubs ended up sweeping the Nats, something I didn't really expect to happen. The Cubs are playing really good baseball now. They did drop 2 in a row yesterday against the Padres in a doubleheader, but the Cubs still the best team in baseball, in my opinion, right now. They're having some problems with the NL West, though. Losing series to my Rockies and the Padres, the only 2 teams to beat them so far in a series this season. Now, in one of those games against the Nationals and the Cubs, Bryce Harper walked 7 times, guys. That was unbelievable. 6 bases on balls. He got hit by a pitch once. Reached base 7 times in a 13-inning game without actually recording a hit. Pretty impressive. Bryce also got suspended. Now, he's appealing that as of right now, but suspended 1 game for, I guess, arguing with the umpire is what you could say it was. Not something that you really want to see happen from an MVP of the league. I didn't really see exactly what happened. I wasn't watching the game, but we'll have to see if that suspension is upheld. We'll see how the appeal process goes. Nationals in the news a lot this week. Steven Strasburg earlier in the week signed a 7-year, $175 million deal to stay with the Nationals. I'm sure there's a lot of other pitchers in the league right now that are licking their lips after seeing that one because they know that they probably are going to get paid and definitely have a good bargaining chip to do so after seeing Strasburg's deal. Also last night, speaking of Nationals pitchers, Max Scherzer from the Nationals, 20 strikeouts, very impressive. They get a 3-2 win over the Detroit Tigers. A very interesting pitching matchup as Scherzer goes against his former team in the Tigers, and Zimmerman was pitching for the Tigers going against his former team in the Nationals. But Max joins a company of 3 other pitchers now, Kerry Wood, Randy Johnson, and Roger Clemens as guys who have 20 strikeouts. He had 20 with 1 out to go and ended up getting a ground out. It would have been nice to see him get 21 and separate himself from those other record holders, but still a great performance And we got to give Scherzer his props. He's been struggling so far this year, but he's starting to get back to what he does. Now let's talk about some other teams. We did mention the Cubs earlier. They are now 21-12. They did lose 2 games to the Padres yesterday, but they're still the best team in baseball. The Boston Red Sox, a team that I talked about last week, guys, that I think is going to win the AL East. Now, right now, they are tied with the Baltimore Orioles with the best record in that division. But over the last 3 days, they have been absolutely unbelievable. Poor Oakland A's. Sonny Gray, a guy who got dominated a couple nights ago. But it wasn't just him. The Red Sox scored 40 runs in 3 games against the Oakland A's. They had 13 2 different times, and then a 14-run game. David Ortiz playing very well. His last season in baseball, he's been hitting a lot of home runs so far. He still has it, man. Maybe he's going to think about unretiring, even though he hasn't already, but maybe he's not going to retire if he keeps this up. He's having a great season. Red Sox, a very, very fun team to watch. And then the Seattle Mariners leading the AL West right now. This is a team that I've mentioned this over the last couple weeks that I think many people had hope for. Many people thought were going to be a good team last year. When they get Cano, they got Nelson Cruz. They got a good pitching staff. Some of those young guys are starting to perform for like Taijuan Walker. He's having a really good season so far. But the Mariners 21-13. They've won 8 out of their last 10 games. And right now, they have a 1.5 game lead on the Texas Rangers. The Rangers still playing pretty good, though. They were the winners of the division last year, so you can't really count them out. But those 2 teams have kind of separated themselves so far from the rest of the competition in that division, so I think it'll be a 2-team race. That's pretty much going to wrap it up for this episode. We'll go over league leaders and the rest of the standings in next week's episode. We had a lot of different news to go over, so that's why we left it out. If there's anything else you want me to cover in next week's episode, feel free to leave it in the comments section. I do appreciate the support in this series. I'm Popular Stranger, and I'm out. Peace!